There's something interesting. Most people who have visited the Philippines say that the internet got this country all wrong. The images they saw before their trip feel completely different from what they experience in their first 48 hours. Why is there such a big gap between expectation and reality? Today, we'll explore 7 of the most honest perspectives the world has about the Philippines, from early misconceptions to those cute little culture shocks and the unexpected reasons why so many visitors end up calling this place home. And number 6 is something travelers almost never forget. If you've ever lived in the Philippines, met someone from here, or you're simply curious about this country, stay until the end to feel the whole story. And if you've had a beautiful experience in the Philippines, feel free to share it in the comments. If you enjoy content like this, don't forget to follow the channel so you won't miss the next episode. Number 1. When the internet gets the Philippines wrong. Before coming here, most travelers only imagine the Philippines through short clips and attention-grabbing headlines. Online, the country is sometimes portrayed as chaotic, dangerous, or unpredictable. Some visitors from Japan, the United States, or Australia even shared that they prepared themselves for the worst, simply because they had watched too many negative videos. But what's interesting is how quickly that feeling disappears, sometimes within just the first few hours. Many say the shift doesn't come from the scenery, but from the atmosphere of the place itself. There's something warm, gentle, and familiar here, so different from what the internet painted. One traveler said he had been anxious about his trip, but on his very first afternoon in Manila, he was surprised to feel safer than he expected. The sentence that stayed with him was this: maybe the internet is only telling a very small part of the story. The internet often highlights the loudest things to pull viewers in. A crowded street, a sudden downpour, or an old alley can easily become the face of an entire nation. But the Philippines is different. Behind those quick snapshots is a vibrant world. Peaceful evenings, lively markets, jeepney rides filled with laughter, and people who always find a way to make your day lighter. And that's why so many travelers say the scariest thing about the Philippines is not what they experience here, but what they heard before coming. The moment they realize that is also the moment they start wanting to understand the people more deeply. And that journey often begins with a smile, the unmistakable smile of the Philippines. Number 2, the smile that softens the world. What surprises many foreigners during their first days in the Philippines isn't the stunning beaches or the tall city buildings. It's the way Filipinos smile at them, even when no one knows each other. The smile comes so naturally, like a gentle greeting, yet it's enough to melt the awkwardness of being in an unfamiliar place. Some travelers from Korea and Australia said they didn't expect much from this, but that simple warmth made their first steps here feel lighter. One traveler shared that on his first morning in Cebu, while he was fumbling with his map, a woman selling fruits walked over and pointed him in the right direction. There weren't many words, just a smile and a small nod, but it was enough for him to feel he wasn't lost at all. After his trip, he said the thing he missed the most wasn't the beaches, but that tiny moment, the moment that made him feel he belonged, even though he'd only arrived a few hours earlier. In the Philippines, a smile isn't something forced. You see it on the face of a jeepney driver letting someone pass during rush hour, a security guard holding the door for you under the heat, or vendors in traditional markets who greet you with cheerful eyes. It's how Filipinos make each day a little easier, even when life isn't always simple. And maybe this is what the internet never talks about. Behind all the loud stories is a country where a smile can ease anyone's tired heart. And from these small, gentle moments, travelers begin to understand why Filipinos are admired around the world for something even greater than their smile, their resilience. Number 3. Resilience. The quality the world truly admires in Filipinos. There are things only those who have lived in the Philippines during difficult times can fully understand. A foreigner who once worked in Visayas said he could never forget what he saw the morning after a strong typhoon. The roofs were still soaked, the streets were covered in fallen leaves, yet in the middle of that mess, he saw a group of people cleaning together, laughing together, and sharing whatever food they had left. He said he couldn't understand how they could smile in such a moment, but the way they supported each other showed him a very special kind of strength. Filipinos have their own way of moving through loss. They don't let sadness linger too long, and they don't let hardship break their spirit. Instead, they rebuild each roof, share what little food they have, and encourage one another with a simple phrase, Kaya natin too. For those who have witnessed it, Filipino resilience feels like a small light in the dark, not too bright, never fading, and strong enough to help the whole community find its way after every storm. Many international volunteers who come to the Philippines during relief missions say they end up learning more from the Filipino people than they could ever give. One volunteer from Europe shared that he arrived to help, yet somehow felt like he was the one being inspired. He was amazed to see families who had lost so much still prepare a small meal for him as a gesture of gratitude and hospitality, something he said he had never experienced anywhere else. Filipino resilience isn't something they try to showcase, it's simply how they live every day. And when travelers see this with their own eyes, they often leave the Philippines with a lesson no book can teach, that true strength doesn't come from what we have, but from the way we rise after every fall. And that very spirit leads them to one of the most charming surprises when they first arrive. The cute little culture shocks waiting in the next part. Number 4. When travelers experience those adorably sweet shocks in their first days. There aren't many places in the world that give visitors the kind of adorable shocks they find in the Philippines. Some things here feel completely ordinary to locals, yet they make newcomers laugh, smile, or gasp in the warmest way. One traveler shared that the first thing that caught his attention wasn't the scenery, but a loud singing voice coming from a small restaurant down the street. He thought there was a live performance, but as he got closer, he realized it was just an employee singing karaoke while cleaning the tables, a moment so naturally Filipino that he never forgot it. Another traveler from Japan said she was surprised because people kept inviting her to eat whenever she walked through small neighborhoods. The phrase "kain tayo" came so casually even though no one knew her. One family even pulled out a plastic chair so she could sit comfortably. For her, these invitations weren't just about sharing food, they were about sharing the warmth of the entire community. Many visitors also remember the first time they witnessed a fiesta. Colorful flags, dancing crowds, long tables filled with traditional dishes, and music filling every corner made them feel like they had stepped into a movie, one where everyone genuinely wanted them to be part of the story. In the Philippines, this sweetness shows up everywhere. The way people add po and opo when they speak, the way jeepney drivers wait until you're steady before driving off, or how someone calls you sir or ma'am even if you're still very young. Travelers from Korea and Australia say these tiny gestures make them feel respected in a way that's surprisingly rare. And once they get used to these charming little shocks, the next thing they become curious about is why so many countries love working with Filipinos. Something we'll discover in number 5. Number 5. Why so many countries love working with Filipinos. In stories shared by international companies, one thing always comes up when people talk about Filipinos: the dedication and sense of responsibility they bring to every task, no matter how big or small. A Canadian manager once said he had worked with many different teams, but he felt the clearest difference when working with his Filipino colleagues. Even when deadlines were tight or schedules changed suddenly, they stayed calm and focused, doing their best to deliver good work. Beyond being hardworking, Filipinos are also known for their gentle and respectful way of communicating. Many foreign professionals say they appreciate how Filipinos listen before responding, making the workplace feel comfortable even when tackling tough issues. A specialist from Japan shared that he once had an online meeting with a Filipino team on a day when they were hit by a storm and lost electricity. Yet one member still found a way to join using mobile data, apologizing with a smile whenever the signal dropped. For him, that simple moment said more than any performance review ever could. There are also countless heartwarming stories from Filipinos working in service, healthcare, and customer support. A Filipino nurse working overseas said her patients didn't remember her only for her professional skills, but for the gentle way she encouraged them every day. She shared that some nights, elderly patients would ask to hold her hand for a few minutes because, in their words, you feel more like family than a nurse. Perhaps this mix of competence, positivity, and kindness is what makes Filipinos a favorite choice for many countries. For many foreigners, working with Filipinos feels like working with a team that cares about people first, then the job. And that's what builds trust, respect, and lasting connections. And thanks to these qualities, many of them end up finding a place they can truly call home, which brings us to number 6. Number 6. The Philippines. A place many expats end up calling home. There are stories in which even the people living them never expected things to unfold the way they did. Stories that begin with nothing more than a short trip. One foreigner shared that he came to the Philippines just to take a break for a few weeks after an intense period of work. He rented a small room near the beach, fully planning to leave as soon as his next project started. But only a few days later, everything began to change in ways he didn't see coming. He said that the quiet afternoons spent sitting outside his tiny rented room gave him a sense of familiarity he couldn't explain. Neighbors would stop by to check on him, sometimes bringing fruits or a dish they had just cooked. No one treated him like a stranger, yet no one tried too hard to get close either. They simply treated him the way they treated longtime friends. And from that, he felt a kind of peace he had been searching for years. As time passed, he realized that what makes many expats stay isn't just the beautiful scenery or the comfortable cost of living. It's the feeling of belonging, something rare, yet so alive in the Philippines. The people he met, from the landlord to the vendors, the tricycle drivers, and his Filipino co-workers, all carried a sincerity that's hard to put into words. He said the Philippines felt like a place that doesn't ask where you came from. It simply asks if you've eaten. A simple question, yet one that makes you feel like you're part of the community. Another expat once said that the Philippines was the first place where he felt, I can live here without trying to be someone else. And maybe that's why so many people arrive with temporary plans, but eventually find a home here in the most natural way. And when stories like these become familiar, the world begins to see the Philippines differently, as a country that's transforming and deserves to be known more deeply. That's exactly what we'll explore in number 7. Number 7. The Philippines. A country the world should know more deeply. When people talk about the Philippines, many travelers and foreign professionals often describe it as a country that is waking up, not in a rushed or chaotic way, but in a gentle, steady way, as if the nation is slowly stepping into the light, allowing the world to finally notice the beauty that has always been here but hasn't been highlighted enough. In Manila, Cebu, and Davao, this transformation appears in small but meaningful moments. Cafes opening early for young groups brainstorming their startup ideas, neighborhoods glowing in the evening as people walk around, chat, and enjoy a sense of calm that big cities rarely offer. Young Filipino artists bringing their identity into music, art, and film, blending tradition and modernity in the most natural way. At the same time, the world is starting to see the Philippines from a new perspective. It's no longer just about beaches or famous tourist spots, but also about places that were once considered hidden gems and are now becoming national pride. Siargao with its free-spirited lifestyle, Bohol with its peaceful rhythm, Iloilo with its clean and orderly charm that surprises many visitors. Plenty of people arrive planning to stay only a few days, but end up extending their trip just to enjoy the kind of peace they struggle to find elsewhere. But what makes the Philippines of 2025 truly special isn't in the numbers or the skyscrapers. It's in the new generation. More confident, more creative, and ready to tell the country's story in the most honest way. For many foreigners, the Philippines no longer feels like just a destination. It feels like a small light rising in Asia, not blinding, but warm, steady, and uniquely captivating. Maybe that's why more and more people believe the Philippines isn't only a place to visit, but a country worth loving, understanding, and being proud of. A country the world should truly know better. Looking back at these 7 parts, one thing becomes very clear. The world may learn about the Philippines from thousands of posts and videos online, but it's only when they meet the people that they understand the real essence of this country. A place full of warmth, resilience, joy, and sincerity that no other place can quite replicate. From early misunderstandings to the smiles that soften every traveler, from resilience after hardship to the adorable culture shocks only the Philippines can offer, from a work ethic that earns global trust to the feeling of home many expats discover here. All of these pieces form the Philippines of 2025, younger, more confident, and more deserving of the world's attention. And if you love stories about people, culture, and the true beauty of the Philippines, leave a comment or share your own experience. Every small story helps continue the country's narrative in the most genuine way. Thank you for watching until the end. I'll see you in the next videos, where we'll keep exploring the beautiful things about the Philippines that the internet has never fully told.